So we are hoping that a few more people are going to join the session, but I am going to get started because I know that you probably all have things that you need to do. So I'm just going to introduce myself. My name is Jess, and I am the Partnership Account Executive here at Nourish. So I work within the Nourish Partnership Programme, and currently at the moment, my sort of target at the moment is Ultra. So I am classed as the Ultra expert here. So I will be giving you the demonstration today. So I'm going to pass you over to Kyle and Regan just to introduce themselves, and then we will get started with the demonstration.
Morning, guys. I'm Kyle. I'm one of the transformation advisors here at Nourish. As most of you know, we have a fantastic partnership program. Denise and Jess work really, really hard to make sure that they're kicking the tires of some of the other vendors in the sector, whether you've looked to procure an email product or a rostering product or a falls monitoring, whatever it might be. So Denise and Jess have scoured the market for a long time now to find something that our customer base has been asking for in terms of activities and things like that, but also one that is going to future-proof itself. So that integration between what Altra can do and then making sure it speaks to Nourish and it appears on that, as we all know it, that Nourish timeline. So yes, we'll go through it today, and any questions you've got, please just write in the chat. I'll leave Regan to do some intros.
Hi everybody, I'm Regan. I won't say too much because Carl covered pretty much everything, so I won't go on at you guys. I do recognise a couple of names in the chat, so some of you may have met me before. But yes, so I'm also a transformation advisor, like Kyle. So me and Kyle obviously here to support on this project, but Jess is going to do a demo today. And as Kyle said, any questions in the Q&A, and we should be able to get those done while Jess is doing the demo. Looking forward to it.
Perfect. So I'm going to get started and share my screen with you all. So if you just bear with me a second. Perfect. So you should all be able to see my screen at this point. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you an overview of the Ultra platform, how it integrates into Nourish, and how it could benefit your business. So we're going to start off with the key features of Ultra today. So we are going to jump straight into the activities calendar. Now, Ultra as a platform, it is classed as a wellbeing and activities platform. However, it is so much more than this and has so many additional features that can benefit your business. So starting with the activities calendar, it does go from Monday through to Sunday, and it can be generated for departments, and it can also be personalized to individuals as well. So although this platform was created in line with sort of residential services, it can be customized and personalized for more LD or supported living services as well. So as you can see here, I've got a fully populated calendar, and I can scroll through as many weeks as I would like. So you can have 4 to 6 weeks or as many weeks pre-populated as you would like. Now with the activities calendar, we can generate this PDF. So we can generate it daily or weekly. So you can still print it off and have it displayed within your homes. However, you can also have access to this as a family member or a resident yourself or as admin. So with the activities calendar, we can add to it and we can customize it. So clicking into add event here, we can input the event title, we can choose the label color, we can even upload a photo as well. So I could go ahead and I could put in here bingo, for example, and I can then choose the department. So this is where you would customize it to different floors within the home or different people. So you may have, for example, a dementia wing, you may have a LD wing. So you can customize each individual calendar to those departments. What we can then do is we can input the date. So I could say, for example, this is going to happen tomorrow, and I can then input the time of that event. The location, this would be where it was going to take place within the home. So it could be, for example, the dining room, it could be the living room. If it was more of an LD or a supported living sort of service, this could be the location of where they need to go. So for example, it could be pay my bills, it could be going swimming, and you could then input the location details in there. You then have the option to input some event details, and then of course you can make this event repeat. So with the repeat feature, you can customize this. So it could just be a daily event, a weekly event, or even monthly, but you do have the additional options to customize it as well. So I could say, for example, this repeats every 3 weeks on a Monday, Friday, and a Saturday. So you do have a lot of flexibility when it comes to customizing those events. What we can also do with these calendar events is we can create a family event. So with a family event, anyone that has access to the platform as a relative, so whether it's the primary relative or any additional relatives, what you would do is you would create the event and you would say, yeah, I would like to invite the relatives to this one. So I would go ahead and I would create that event, and it would ask me if I would like to send the information to the relatives. They will then get an email to say, we've got a family bingo night happening on Friday. Would you like to attend? Now, the beauty of this is that we can then take a look at that activity. So I can look into this one, for example, and then I can see exactly who this has been sent to and what the response is for that as well. So who's going to be attending, who hasn't responded, or who isn't available to attend. So you can then pre-plan for those events. Now, with any activity within the activities calendar, you can click into that activity, so the Dementia Cafe, for example, and then you can input any residents that attended that session. So we could say, for example, that Charlie and Maura attended the Dementia Cafe. I can then gauge their sentiment. So if you have any residents that have iPads or phones and they're quite tech savvy, they would be able to do this themselves. They would be able to log in, they would be able to say whether they enjoyed it, whether they attended, and would they like to do it again, for example. If your residents don't have iPads or phones, then this is something that your support staff would be able to do with them. So I would be able to say, for example, Charlie really enjoyed this activity, and then I could put a comment in here to say, really enjoyed this event and would like to go again next week. Now, this sentiment and these sort of comments or slash feedback would pull through into your Nourish timeline. So this is part of the integration. So within your Nourish timeline, you would be able to see what activity they took part in, did they enjoy it, and any comments. So it's something that you're then going to be able to report on within Nourish, but you're also able to report on that within Ultra as well. With the activities calendar as well, it directly interlinks with the Wellbeing Library. So within the Wellbeing Library, we have over 1,000 pieces of content that are updated on a weekly basis. So every week you'll see that there is new content, and it ranges from anything from arts and crafts to exercise videos to quizzes, puzzles, and there's even some content or resources within here that could be used for your staff wellbeing as well. So there's things like meditation and mindfulness exercises. So on the right-hand side here, we have the ability to filter through this content. So we could say, for example, we want to see any arts and crafts and anything relating to music. We can then filter that, and it will show us all of the activities that relate to those filters. Now, if you take a look at one of these pieces of content and you say, yeah, I would really like to do that with my residents, you have the ability to download a content pack. So if I was to select download now, you would see that you have a pack with the resources needed to complete that activity. So this one, as an example, is colouring. So it provides you with that resource. It also provides you with what it should or could look like. If this was, for example, a baking recipe or an arts and crafts, you would also receive the instructions, the resources that you would need to gain, and anything that you would need to do to complete that activity with your residents. So the beauty of this section of the system is that it's going to take away sort of those hours on end that your activities coordinators spend Googling activities, looking in books, trying to source those resources because it's in one convenient place. Now, what you can do with this content is you can add it directly to the activities calendar. So I could say, yeah, I want to do this with the residents next Thursday. You would add to the activity calendar and it pulls through all of those resources, the pictures and the information directly to your activities calendar. So what you would then do is just choose the department and the event date and the location, for example. Now, within the Wellbeing Library, we can also produce your own content. So up here, we have a section that says My Content. If I was to click into here, you would be able to customize and add your own content. So if your activities coordinators or your support staff have done an activity that all of the residents really enjoyed, it's definitely something that you're going to pull on again in the future, you would be able to enter obviously the name of the activity. You can then add tags and you can upload photos, documents, audio, and add it to your content library. What that means is really easily you're able to pull from that content and add it directly to your activities calendar, just like the pre-populated content as well. So we then have the concierge approach. So with the concierge, you are able to upload your own content that your residents or family members can then purchase or book in for their family members that are in the home. So for example, we have a theatre trip here. It could be baking lessons. It could just be a toiletries package or a birthday cake. So you can add as much content into this section as you would like. So I would go into add content, and then you can input the details of that content. So what it is, who is the provider, is it something that you do within the home, or is it something that you have an affiliation with? So it could be a local florist, it could be a local bakery, for example. You can enter a price, you can add filters, you can add a description, and then you can really, really customize the subscription as well. So is it a one-off? So for example, if it was a theatre trip, it might be a one-off date. Or is it a permanent subscription so they can book it on a monthly, a weekly, or a regular basis? You can even input a notice period, a cancellation period, and you can add photos or documents. So it may be T's and C's, it may be policies, it might just be sort of a description of what that activity or that event is. With the concierge, it's then very simple for either your residents themselves, your support staff, or the family members to log in and then book that event. So if it was a birthday cake, for example, they would just click into birthday cake and they would then be given the ability to book. So if it's a one-off subscription, they would only be able to book for that date. However, depending on the parameters you have set, they may be able to book it once a month or once a week, for example. You then have a very clear idea of who has booked, what date they've booked for, and you can report on these and you can pull it out as a CSV file as well. So if needed, you need to add it to your invoices, you can very easily pull that data if needed. Moving on to one of the other sort of sections of the system that is very popular is the survey section of the system. So with the surveys, these are extremely customizable. And a lot of companies that I have spoke to have said that it would be a great way for them to move away from services such as SurveyMonkey and have it all within one system. So with the surveys, they are very customizable, so they don't just have to be sort of quality assurance related, although they can be. They can be used for things like meal ordering, which is one company they said that was something they really struggle with, and that's what you can then use Altra for. It could be meal feedback, it could be satisfaction surveys, so they can be used in any way, shape, or form. So very easy to customize the surveys. So we would click into add new survey, and then we can name the survey. So let's just call it test. We can choose the type, so family or resident, and shortly staff will be added to this as well. So you can create family surveys, resident surveys, or even staff surveys as well. So if we said resident, for example, we then have the option to input an introduction, and we can then customize what that survey is going to look like. So is it just going to be questions, or is it going to be questions with sections as well? So if we just click into questions, we can then add as many questions as we would like. And we even have the option to choose what that answer is going to look like. Is it going to be multi-line text? Is it going to be single choice? We have the smiley scale, as well as that multiple choice. So this is really great. You can customize it to lots of different individuals and service users, and you can also provide it to family members as well. So once you've completed this survey, what you can do is you can produce it as a URL, so you can email it to people. You can also add it as a post to the dashboard, which I will show you in a minute. And then if required, they can log in. So if they have access to the platform themselves, they can log in, they can complete it via the mobile app or the iPad or laptop, whichever sort of service they're using. So if we just take a look at some surveys that I created previously. So if we click into meal orders as an example, you would input the resident's name, so James, for example, and you can go through and choose exactly what James would like to eat each day. So this is something that your support staff could sit down and do with each resident on a weekly basis, maybe on a Sunday, for example. Or like I previously mentioned, if that resident has access, they would be able to do this themselves. Once you've completed those surveys, it's really quick and easy to then review those results. So if I was to click into the results for the meal orders, you'll see that I have these sort of visual graphs. So I can see how many people have ordered porridge, how many people have ordered rice pudding. So this is then going to impact sort of how much you prepare, how much wastage you have. And that's just one example of how these surveys can be used. With the responses from these surveys as well, you can export all of this data. So if it is sort of like your compliance or your satisfaction, you can export it to a CSV so you can then analyze that data or do what you need to do with it. So those four sections that I've showed you are the sort of main points of the Ultra platform. However, there is a lot more that I haven't shown you yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to start at the dashboard here, and I'm just going to give you a quick explanation of how this works and what you can do with it. So I like to think of the dashboard as it's very similar to sort of a Facebook newsfeed in the way that it's laid out. So the dashboard gives you the ability to post, but it also gives relatives the ability to post as well. So it's a two-way communication. It's a way for residents to feel like they're in touch with their family members, but it's also a way for you guys to communicate with them as well. So as we scroll down, you can see that we have different posts here. So we have posts that are from the staff. We have posts that are from the family members of your residents as well. So we can filter this dashboard by worksite and by relatives. So if I was to filter it by worksite, we are only going to see the posts that have been created by your admin staff. And if I was to click into relatives, you're only going to be able to see the posts that relatives have uploaded. So when we add a post to this section here, you can really drill down into the security and the parameters of this post as well. So you can choose who it's aimed at, so whether it's just one individual resident, or it might be that it was an event that took place that involved multiple residents. What we can then do is we can choose to send this message to the primary relatives only. So within the Ultra platform, when you set up the relatives, you have a primary relative and then you have additional relatives. The primary relative is going to be the person that's most involved in that package of care. However, you can have as many relatives have access to this platform as needed. So like I said, we have the option to send only to the primary relative. We can hide comments from other relatives. We can disable comments on this post as well. So you can really customize and drill down on the security of that. And then what you can do is you can enter a description. So it could be as simple as, you know, that Charlie's daughter is coming to visit today. And it could just be as simple as sending her a message to say, please, can you bring some shower gel in? However, you do have the options to upload photos, videos, polls, and documents as well. So it could be things like a policy change. It could be a photo of an event you had happening. It could be a video of an event. So it doesn't just have to be used as a communication. It can be used to update them. It can be used to provide the surveys. It can be really customized. What we can do then is we can post it straight away, but you do also have the option to schedule posts as well. So if you're going to be on annual leave or you want it to post during the weekend, you can schedule that post as well. With the dashboard, you're going to get notified anytime a family member or a resident posts. So you have sort of two options when it comes to notifications. First of all, we have this bell here that will show you all notifications and also any unread notifications. And then you will receive an email as well, which can be switched on or switched off, but you would receive an email to say so-and-so has posted or so-and-so has booked an event or anything along those lines. So that's the dashboard. What we're going to do now is just quickly go into the facility newsletter. So a lot of feedback that I've had from companies so far is that a lot of people create their newsletters via Word or PowerPoint. It can be really time consuming and it can be quite a challenge as well to sort of think of what you've done over the month, pull those photos, write the text, those sorts of things. With the facility newsletter within Ultra, you can pull on the information that you have previously posted within the dashboard and create a customized, tidy, comprehensive newsletter. So if we just click into create facility newsletter, you can customize the name of that newsletter. You can input an introduction, and then you can then customize what this newsletter is going to look like. So what layout it's going to have. Once you've selected your layout, you then have the option to input text. You have the option to upload photos. But what's really great about this newsletter is you have the ability to pull on posts from the dashboard. So if your staff have been regularly posting during the month, instead of having to spend sort of an hour thinking of all of the events and what you're going to input into this newsletter, all you would do is choose one of those posts. It will then automatically populate the text and the photos from that original post. So it's going to save you time and you can create a newsletter quite quickly. What you can then do with this newsletter is you can publish it as a post. So if you publish it as a post, anyone that has access to this platform as a family member or a resident would get a notification to say that the newsletter was ready to read. You can also generate it as a PDF, so you are able to print it off, have it within the homes. You can email it to people that might not have access. And all newsletters also remain in this platform, so you would be able to draw on previous newsletters. So if you needed to evidence it to CQC, if a family member asked for one that was a couple of months ago, you can draw on that information. So I do have sort of a dummy newsletter here, so you can see how it is laid out and how it is put together. So you can see here that it pulls together those photos, that text into a sort of clear, nice newsletter. Now, the colours of this newsletter can be branded to your company colours as well. And your logo, of course, and your company name would be at the top. So it would be more company branded than this one. So other features that we have within the Ultra platform are the menu section. So the menu section is very, very similar to the activities calendar in the way that it's laid out. So it does run from a Monday through to Sunday, of course. And just like the activities calendar, you can scroll forwards or backwards, so you can pre-populate as many weeks as you would like. So with the menu, you can add menu items manually, or you can do what's called a data import, essentially. So you can have a spreadsheet with 2, 3, 4 weeks worth of menus, and you can upload that into the system quick and easily. When you're adding an individual item, you have the option to choose from these meals here, which can be customized as well. So if this isn't the terminology that you tend to use, it might be that you have brunch, for example, you can customize these. Of course, you would enter the name, so porridge, for example. You have the option to enter a description, so it could be your nutritional information. It could just be a simple explanation of what it is. You would then input a date, and you would also be able to repeat this menu item as well. So if, for example, you have fish Fridays, you would be able to select as many Fridays that you want that to appear on. You then also have the option to upload a photo so the residents can see what it looks like, what it contains, those types of things. With the menu items as well, you can click into them and you can then edit these, and you would then be able to enter any allergen advice as well. So does it contain dairy? Does it contain nuts? Those types of things. Just like the activities calendar, you can generate this as a PDF on a weekly or a daily basis as well. So you can provide these to your residents, you can put them up within the home, you can email them to people if you need it as well. So we're going to take a very quick look at the visit section of the system, and then I'm going to then show you what the mobile app looks like for your residents or for the family members using it. So with the visit section of the system, it gives you the ability to input custom visits essentially. So it, again, just like every other area of this platform, it can be customized to your business and how you want to use it. So it could be, for example, providing relatives the ability to book a meeting with the manager. It could be giving them the ability to book a room within the home for a visit. I had another company who mentioned that they did a fine dining experience on a monthly basis. So it could give you the ability to book into an event like that as well. So when you add an event, very similar to the concierge section, you have lots of parameters to sort of customize that visit or that event. So you would name it, input how many meetings per time slot, the start time, the end time. You can even input a buffer duration as well. On top of that, you can add whether the meetings need to be validated, what days of the week. And then the great part of this is you can also add time exceptions, questions and answers, or even an in-person declaration. So this always brings me back to COVID and the regulations that were in place for visitations during this time, and how great it would have been able to ask the relatives, have you had COVID in the last 7 days? Have you taken a test? Are you symptomatic? But it could also be used. So in the example of the fine dining experience, it could just be that the menu is in there so they can pre-order prior to that event. So you can really customize this to what that event is and how you want it to look. So with the integration from Nourish to Ultra, the first phase of the integration includes your residents, your staff, the activities, and the activities sentiment. Now that is just the first phase of the integration. And as they progress with that integration, they're going to be looking to include things like the menu, the concierge, the visits, and hopefully even the surveys. So we're going to take a quick look at what that mobile app looks like. So just bear with me as I switch my screens over. So hopefully you can all see that mobile app screen now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into the Altra app. Of course, it needs to be restarted. There we go. So as you can see, I am in that main screen of the app, and this is where you are sort of looking at your news feed essentially. So you can see all of those dashboard posts relating to your family member only, unless it has been made a public sort of post. What we can do from this screen as well is we can view our family member's profile, which just gives them a snippet of information, things like date of birth, when they started, when they became a resident. It also shows a sort of whole view of any posts that have been posted, so you can sort of quickly look back at things. If we click into this plus button here, that is the ability to post. So we can send a message directly to the nursing home managers, or we can just post. So we can upload photos, we can use the camera feature, we can even upload a voice recording with that post as well. If we then click into these three little dots here, you will see that you then have your concierge. So this is where you would be able to book those events or those packages or a birthday cake, for example, for your family member. So if I was to click into birthday cake, for example, I would then be able to choose what date I would like that birthday cake. So I could say the 31st, for example, and then I would just book and confirm that booking. You would then receive a notification to say Maura's daughter has ordered a birthday cake for the 31st. We click into those three dots again, we can also see the menu. So you have a good idea of what they are going to be eating. And you can see as far ahead as needed. So you again can scroll through those weeks. So I hope you can see that this is a really sort of user-friendly, quite a simple view. So it's going to be great for your residents to be able to use it. It's going to be great for family members to be able to access it as well. They're not going to need a lot of training or a lot of support because it is very self-explanatory. It's also important to note that this mobile app is available on both the Android and the Apple Store. So it doesn't matter what type of device they have, everyone is going to be able to access this as needed. Perfect. So I don't know if there's anything that you, Kyle, or Regan would like to add, or if we would like to.
If you
do a
could
bit of a
show have
Q&A.
we got the integration video, Jess?
Yeah, I can get that one up. Bear with
Perfect.
me.
I know Naval was asking what the integration looks like, and obviously being Nourish users is important to be able to see what's happened on the timelines. You've almost got a central point of truth. So it's great. I can click on that person's timeline. I can see what they've done today. Altra will automatically put those activities, etc., on there for you.
Kyle, are you able to get that one up for me? My Teams won't open, unfortunately.
Give me a second, I'll get that up. There was one question in the chat, Jess. I don't know if you can see them. Will had a very good question, so I'm not sure if you're able to answer that just while I get this up.
Yes, so Will has asked, is there an option for posts to be admin approved before they appear on the dashboard? So yes, within your organization settings, you can set up sort of those permissions, whether it's your manager that needs to approve those, or if it's sort of the activities coordinator, you can customize who approves those. With your staff permissions as well, you can really drill down in what they have the ability to do. So they could have access, for example, to the activities calendar, but no access to the concierge section. You can also drill down to the point where they don't have access to post, they don't have access to add to the surveys. So you can really drill into those as well. Do you have to have all aspects? We are a short break and day support service, so would not necessarily need everything, or can it? Oh, or can it be configured to our needs? So yes, you can have sections removed. So for example, if the concierge section doesn't really relate to your service, which quite a few LD or supported living services have said, then that can be removed and you can just have certain aspects of the system. Could you show us an example of the exported activities calendar as a PDF? Also, is it possible to have draft events before they are able to be seen by relatives? So yes, I can show you an example of the PDF if you just bear with me. Unfortunately, there isn't a way to have draft events. Once you've added them to the activities calendar, they are then visible to relatives or to the staff member or the resident themselves. So I'll just generate this PDF for you. And I'll just share my screen again quickly before Kyle leads into that video. So this is what the activities calendar would look like for a weekly basis, but you can also generate this on a daily basis as well. So if I just generate that daily one. So this is the daily view, and this is the weekly view. You can customize as well because this is on a landscape. So within your organization settings on the back end, you can choose whether it's portrait, landscape, which will slightly change the look of that as well. So I'll just pass over to you, Kyle, just to show that integrations video.
Yeah, perfect. Got it up now, so bear with me. Just while I'm getting it up, I don't know whether you want to talk about cost as well. Go through that.
Of course. So Ultra is charged at 50p per bed per week or £2 per bed per month, whichever takes your fancy, I suppose. So I think in regards to other sort of activities platforms that I've seen, it is very sort of reasonably costing, and you get so much sort of within that as well. It's not just the activities and the well-being. So Kyle's just going to show you a video now of what the integration looks like. So how those activities in Ultra then pull through into the Nourish platform.
So it's pretty instant as well. So Adam, who's demoing this, was able to do it, and then he pressed refresh and it came up literally straight away, which is obviously fantastic. Just want to pause it there. So obviously everything with Nourish is fully reportable. So we're able to go back and look at those data points. So did they take part? How engaged were they? Did they enjoy the activity? All of those really, really important key metrics. And there we go.
Perfect. So that is the end of the Ultra demonstration today. So post webinar, you will receive an email that will ask if you would like to receive a proposal. So if you are interested, please do use that link and we will get you over a proposal. If you do have any questions or you would like more details, then please do reach out and we will be able to support you where possible. But thank you so much for your attendance today, and hopefully we will be speaking to you soon. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, bye.